Okay, welcome back guys. In this particular lecture, I'm going to be discussing all about goal setting and in particular how I've observed the best traders out there, the most successful traders I know, set goals. And the whole premise of this presentation is about how can you set goals that you'll actually achieve, or rather how can you actually achieve the goals you set. I'm going to be sharing a framework with you that I've created myself for my studies in human behavior and psychology for my own last 6 years as a trader myself, and also having worked with lots and lots of traders, I learned to see the commonalities between those who were successful with the goals they set and those that were not. And I created this framework, the AIM framework. It's what I cover in detail in my 12-week challenge, where every single one of my guys and girls who go through that program, they use the AIM framework to set their own goals and to build some serious momentum in their life. I'm going to be giving you an overview of this in this particular video. You're going to get a lot of value from this. But ultimately, if you want to go that one step deeper and you want to get the tools, you want to get the accountability, you want to get everything that goes around it, check out the 12-week challenges, links in the description for that. Now, when we talk about successful goal setting, we really need to understand that it's a 3-step process. The way I teach it, the AIM framework, is a 3-step process. If you're not achieving the goals you set, it's because you're not following one of the 3 steps in the AIM framework. And we're going to go through what the AIM framework is. I'm going to show you how you can adhere to it, how to use it to ensure that you achieve the goals you set. A lot of traders have goals to become funded. A lot of traders have goals to be full-time. And this AIM framework is going to help you accomplish those particular goals. Those funding goals, those mindset goals, those life goals, and beyond your trading as well. Maybe you have goals to set businesses or have family, etc., or physical and fitness goals. I want to give you a framework that fits every area of life that you can use to ensure that the goals you set, you go off and achieve. Okay, now the big problem we're solving here is that a lot of people set a goal, they don't achieve that particular goal, and then they beat themselves up because they didn't achieve that goal. And then they go again, they want to set a bigger goal to compensate for the feeling of feeling like a failure from not achieving the previous one, and then they don't achieve that, and then they beat themselves up again. And it creates this vicious cycle where people, individuals, are trying to set goals, they're not achieving them, and then they're beating themselves up. The whole point of this video is to show you how to break free from this vicious cycle, to actually set clear goals that you'll go off and achieve and start to build some serious momentum. And instead of falling into this vicious cycle, we're going to start to build a flywheel in your life where you're setting goals, achieving those goals, building momentum, building self-worth, and you just keep going. And it may start in your trading, but that's going to translate and expose into other areas of life. You're going to build some serious momentum, not only in your trading, but in your life in general as well. Okay, now the solution here is the AIM framework. The AIM framework is an analogy, an acronym. AIM stands for awareness, intention, momentum. These are the 3 steps that you need to be paying attention to when you go off and set a goal. First and foremost, you need to have a clear awareness of who you are as an individual, your inner wiring. I covered a video on this on how to gain an unfair advantage in the markets. The awareness is knowing your inner wiring. It's about knowing your values, knowing your priorities. I cover this in detail in the 12-week challenge, and I ensure every single one of the guys and girls that go through that know themselves on a deep level, because once you know how you're wired, you can really start to put yourself in a position to win. You give yourself permission, and you gain that edge that so many traders are looking for. I really believe that the edge in the market is knowing yourself. After you have the awareness of yourself, you have to go off and set a clear intention, clear goal. A lot of people are setting broad, general goals that don't have intent behind them. And then the final step here is you need to build momentum. You need to find the highest priority actions every day that are going to help you move closer to your overall intention, because that's ultimately what goal achieving is. It's about identifying the highest priority intention, setting the intention first and foremost, then identifying the highest priority action every day, chipping away at that. It's the whole idea of 1% better every day. Now, there's a little trick at the end of the AIM framework that I'm going to show you at the end of this presentation to ensure that you have that extra level of discipline, motivation, and focus, and you don't procrastinate towards your goal. So stick around to see what that is. Now, step 1, like I mentioned, you need to get a clear awareness of yourself, your inner wiring. You need to know how you're wired based on your voids that are driving the values in your life. That's how your brain operates, like we talked about in that video on gaining an unfair advantage in the markets, like I talked about in week 1 of my 12-week challenge. You need to understand your values, your priorities on a deep level. Because once you understand that, you know how your brain's wired, You know where you're going to have focus, energy, discipline. You're going to be inspired to act. And then knowing that gives you great knowledge of yourself, because then you can go off and either set goals that are already congruent with your inner wiring, or you can go off and set a goal and link it to your inner wiring. But either way, you know how you're wired, so you're not going to struggle with focus, you're not going to struggle with discipline, you're not going to struggle with motivation. Step one of the AIM framework is you have to know yourself. A lot of people are being incongruent. Their life demonstrates they have a high value on health and fitness, for example, but then they're trying to go off and start a business, or they're going and trying to start some sort of investment thing. And because there's an incongruence between how they're internally wired and their overall goal, no wonder they don't actually go off and achieve the goal they set. So if you know how you're wired, you can either set goals congruent with that, or you can set a goal that may not be 100% congruent initially, and then you can link it in your mind to ensure that you're on track, okay? Step two of the AIM framework is you have to set a clear and specific intention. This is your goal. You have to be clear on what it looks like, how big it is, the time frame. A lot of people are setting goals that are, a little bit of a fantasy out here. They're not extremely clear on what their goal looks like, the time frame they're allocating around it, etc., etc. So instead of saying I want to be, a funded trader, for example, you want to be clear on what company you want to be funded with, how much you want to have funding, how much funding you want to have initially, when you want to accomplish that by. And you really want to get clear on that. How much does it actually cost to go for the challenge? And what will I need to do to come up with that cash? And what are the specific steps that I'm going to do to build up to that? And that's really a big difference between what I see between successful and unsuccessful traders. Is unsuccessful traders just set this general fantasy of what they want to do, but the successful ones are very clear on what it looks like, and they're present with that already. And that's really key. That's the second step here. After you get a clear awareness of how you're internally wired, now you want to set a very clear and specific intention, and you want it to be specific. And the third step, like we've talked about, is you want to build momentum with high priority actions daily. After you know what your intention is, it's somewhere out here, you want to ask yourself, what's the highest priority action I can do every day to build momentum to actually accomplishing that? And that's really the key. You achieving your goals, big audacious goals, is about executing on the highest priority actions every day. And if you know what the high priority actions are and you schedule those and you do them every day, you're doing the most you can possibly do to move towards your goal. Now, the little key here is that a lot of people set a goal that isn't necessarily congruent with how they're internally wired, because they don't know how they're internally wired. And then they set action steps that may help them achieve that goal. But then once they get to the day and they have those action steps written down, they don't have the motivation, they don't have the discipline to go off and do those action steps. And the reason why is because in their mind, they don't see enough value to doing those action steps relative to how they're internally wired to actually go off and do them. So one of the most important questions you can ask after you get a clear awareness of how you're internally wired, after you set a clear intention for what you would love to accomplish, and after you've identified the highest priority actions it would be wise to do every single day to accomplish that clear intention, that goal, is to ask yourself, now that you have the high priority actions in front of you, asking yourself, why am I doing this? How does this actually help me accomplish my inner wiring, what my life truly demonstrates is most important to me? And in your mind, you need to make the link between the action steps you're doing daily and what is of most priority to you at that point in time in your life. Say, for example, your life demonstrates raising a family is most important to you. You have a few kids and you dedicate your time, energy, and money to raising up your kids. If you now set a goal or an intention to become a funded trader and having a specific amount of money, specific company, having consistent profits by executing your trading plan consistently, and you have all those action steps written out, you may come to the day and realize that I don't really have the motivation or the inspiration to go off and do these action steps. It's because you don't directly see those action steps linked to what is most important to you, what your life demonstrates is most important to you. And this is where this last step becomes really important, by asking yourself, how is me doing these action steps every day, executing on the trading plan? Going and scanning the markets and marking up the charts and going for the funded challenge. How is me doing this actually helping what's of most value to me, raising my family? If you can make that link clear in your mind between the action steps and what's most important to you, for example, added security, added financial income to take care of your kids, added financial income for their education. And if you can make that link clear in your mind, you going off and doing those action steps on a day-to-day basis is no longer an issue. You don't procrastinate, you don't hesitate, you don't have lack of motivation, because you see those action steps directly linked to what's most of value to you. And that's a key step that a lot of people miss out on. And that's a big reason why I've seen people don't actually go off and accomplish their goals, because they don't have the action steps they don't have those action steps linked to what's most important to them. And they have an incongruence. And then every day they go to their desk or whatever, and they start to work on the goal, and they procrastinate, and then they beat themselves up. Why am I not doing this? And they start comparing themselves to other people. The simple reason is because it's not congruent. It's not aligned to what your values truly demonstrate. So that's a really key step that people miss out on that is crucial. Now, the benefits of following this particular framework. First and foremost, you're going to achieve the goals you set because you're now congruent. You've got all the components of goal setting taken care of. You're going to start to build momentum. Every day you're going to chip away at it and you're going to accomplish your goal. You're not going to waste time on goals that you won't achieve. You're not going to put time, energy, and unrealistic expectations on yourself to go off and accomplish something that isn't even important to you. You're going to be congruent, you're going to be on fire. And you're not only going to achieve that goal, but you're going to build this sense of self-worth. You're going to build this feeling of anything that I truly want and that's truly linked to what's most important to me, and it's valuable enough in my life, I can go off and accomplish. And that's really the inner talk that I've seen of the most successful people, is that no matter what I set, no matter what goal I set, if it's truly important to me and I see it linked to what's of value to me, I can accomplish that. It may take time, but I'm going to work at it every day and I will eventually accomplish it. And that there is a feeling of self-worth. That there's a feeling of no matter what I do, I can build momentum and achieve great things. Now, the key step here is you want to take a look at your life. What does it demonstrate? What does your life demonstrate is most important to you? Check out the previous lecture I did on gaining an unfair advantage in the market. Jump into the 12-week challenge. Week 1, we cover this in detail, so you get clear on your values, get clear on your priorities. You know yourself on a deep level, you know your inner wiring, and you know yourself. That's really key. That's the first step. So you want to take a look at your life. What does it truly demonstrate most important to you? Then you want to ask yourself and write down, what is it I would absolutely love to do? What is the goal, the intention I would love to accomplish? Maybe it's a funded account. Great, get specific with how much, what company, when by, how much that's going to cost, etc., etc. Price it up and get really clear on that particular intention, that particular goal. And then you want to ask yourself, what is the highest priority actions I can do daily to move one step closer to that particular goal? Maybe it's something like backtesting to refining and getting clear on your trading plan. Maybe it's jumping in the 12-week challenge to learn the mindset balancing exercises. Maybe it's executing every day, jumping to the charts and forecasting and preparing. And if the market presents an opportunity, executing on the opportunity. You want to strip it down and identify the highest priority actions you can do daily that will lead to you accomplishing the goal if you did those action steps daily. And they have to be action steps. They have to be specific high priority action steps. And you want to ask yourself, how is me doing this action step every day serving and benefiting what my life demonstrates is most important to me? If your life demonstrates that learning and developing trading strategy and that type of stuff is most important to you, then the link will be there in your mind. You'll be able to see it. But if you have a different set of values, maybe you have a higher value on raising a family or starting a business or working at your company, then you're going to have to make that link clear in your mind between the action steps and your true values, what's truly most important to you, so that there's no issue with procrastination, there's no issue with discipline and motivation and focus. So this is the AIM framework here. Get clear on what your life demonstrates is most important to you. That's the A, the awareness. Set a clear intention. It has to be specific of what you would love in your life. Identify, that's the I. Identify the highest priority actions every day to focus on to build momentum. And finally, make sure those action steps are linked to the A, what's most important to you, to ensure that you have no issues with motivation, discipline, focus, all those types of things. If this resonated with you, I encourage you to jump on the 12-week challenge. I break this framework down in more detail in the 12-week challenge. I give you the tools. I give you the tools to go in there and structure this in your life and implement it in your life and keep it organized. And I give you the clear processes to understand yourself on a deep level. That's the key, that's the cornerstone, in my opinion, of being a successful trader and successful in whatever it is you do in life. But hopefully this was insightful. You learned a few things. If it was, share it with friends. check out the links in the description. I've got a lot of things in there that you would value as a trader. But yes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.